Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Zeniton, and welcome to today's video for Legends of Runeterra, where today I'm going to be analyzing the latest patch, patch 0.92, which, by the time this video goes up, it should be live. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today. I'm going to go through every single update for the cards, talk about each one, analyze it, give my thoughts on what each change is going to do, whether it's a good change, a change I'm kind of just meh on. Give some opinions on like what I think I would like to see in the future, and at the very end of the video, I'll try and wrap it up by giving what I think is a prediction of what will happen to the card game from here on out. So, with that all said and done, let's get into discussing the changes. First off, though, I'd like to just say I like this patch. It seems like it's a good patch. First off, though, we got Hecarim. Kind of knew this guy was going to get nerfed. I mean, a lot of people felt like this guy was a little too strong. He kind of just did it all. It was like, you would look at him and you think maybe he just goes in ephemeralist, but pretty much every single person was playing this guy if you were in Shadow Isles. If you were not playing this guy in Shadow Isles, you needed a good reason. Like, you just didn't want a big guy who did a lot of damage. Maybe you were playing like some kind of War Mother control and you'd rather have like a Nivea and Trinomir. But if you were in Shadow Isles, you were almost always playing Hecarim unless for some reason you had a good reason. So there's a lot of nerfs to Hecarim. I might even miss a nerf or two. First off, he's losing 1 health. He's now a 4-5 instead of a 4-6. That's not too big, but of course it's a nerf, so he's going to be easier to be blocked and killed now. They did give him a slight buff though for his leveling up condition. Now he only needs 7 units to with Ephemeral to have attacked, so you know it's a little easier to level him up. The champion spell of his Onslaught of Shadows now is 2 mana, but that's also because the Spectral Riders got nerfed. Now they're 2 mana 2/2s instead of 3/2s. A lot to take in here. Hecarim now, he has 1 less health, and the Spectral Riders have 1 less power. And he now is easier to level up. Overall, it's a nerf, but he's got a small, slight buff tacked onto him. I like what they did. I think Hecarim is still powerful, and he's still going to be seeing play as a 3 of because he's just good. The thing is, I don't know. I like that they made it so he's not completely dead, and they kind of buffed ephemeral decks, specifically like Shark Chariot and other such things, without completely destroying him. And like non-ephemeral decks still might play Hecarim as well. As they were saying, like here, let me read this real quick. We've tweaked Hecarim to be less of a powerful finisher in any deck and more of a specialized ephemeral deck bomb. He's been seeing a lot of play, but in most situations, he wasn't ever leveling up. I'll be honest with you. That was because it takes a lot of ephemeral attacks to level him up. What else is this? What else do they say here? This indicated to them that he had too much generic power and not enough payoff for a specific type of deck where he might really shine. Riot's looking to shift Hecarim's power deeper into ephemeral strategy while leaving him a viable but weaker option for Shadow Isle decks in general. I do like this kind of nerf because he's not just getting completely nuked from orbit, not unplayable or not playable at all anymore. He's still playable, and I like it. Reducing his health by 1 at both levels to make him easier to bring down. Hecarim attacks also tended to spread too much damage. That is very true. Just a Hecarim by himself, even if you block the Hecarim, he was still another 6 damage being represented by his Spectral Riders. So what else is this? The Riders are now 2/2s to allow better counterplay. Reduce the quest trigger to 7 ephemeral attacks and increased his level 2 ephemeral buff to +3. Oh, I didn't even notice that. Okay. That's actually kind of nice. So now, like, I'm a little scared of Shark Chariot because I've always been scared of Shark Chariot. That thing is a nightmare for me because I'm a control player. So yeah, these buffs or then this change, I guess, if you will, the change does seem to make this guy actually honestly stronger for ephemeral decks. Like, sure, he's losing a lot of power overall for just like a Shadow Isle, Demacia, Shadow Isle, Piltover and Zaun, whatever. Just Shadow Isle, mostly Shadow Isle deck. So yeah, there's a lot of Shadow Isle nerfs too, by the way. Poor Shadow Isles, rip them. But They got something. They got Kalista. Now is Kalista playable after this buff? I honestly do not know. Now though, she's got an extra health, so she's a 3 mana 4/3 with Fearsome instead of a 4/2. Used to have the whole bond stuff going on, and she would level up when she saw 3 allies die. Now she has to see 4 allies die to level up. Now though, when she levels up, she says she becomes a 5/4 because of the +1 health, of course, now 5/3. She's still fearsome, and whenever she attacks, you get to revive an attacking ephemeral copy of the strongest dead allied follower, and then they're bonded, and it takes damage for Kalista. I have no idea on this. This is such a... It's not a bad or good change. It's an interesting change, which makes sense because, like, Kalista just isn't played. And, like, they even say in their first sentence here, Kalista was the least played champion last patch. And considering Shadow Isles is the most played region, that's not a good sign. Kalista wasn't meeting the exciting to build around bar we have for champs, so we've redesigned her to much better fit into decks that are interested in killing or reviving their own units. She's also now more appealing in ephemeral decks, given the synergy with her level 2 version. Lastly, her stat line makes her more reasonable as an option in fearsome aggro decks. Yeah, 3 mana 4/3, that's pretty good. I think Jinx is also a 3 mana 4/3, but she's a quick attack instead of fearsome, so yeah, this seems nice. Her fragility was a key issue, so we've given her an extra health at both levels, along with the level 2 damage negation. Wait, level 2 damage? Oh, because of the bond, right. That does make sense. That's good. So, like, if Kalista levels up, it seems like she's going to be hard to bring down without an actual removal spell. She'll get out of, like, get excited range if she levels up and just 3 damage in general. Okay. This Kalista change comes at a tricky time due to the strength of Shadow Isles, so we wanted to be extra careful with her power level, and therefore made her level up a bit harder to achieve, while also shifting power from the bond bonus into her base stats. Like previous champion reworks such as Lux and Anivia were initially more focused on the champion's gameplay dream than nailing power level. So if we see her under or overperforming, we'll make small changes to adjust. I mean, like, my initial impression is she's still not going to be played, and the issue is, I think, most decks that want Kalista would rather just play Hecarim. And I'm thinking, like, well, maybe they'll play both. Like, you'll play, like, Shark Chariots and Kalistas and Hecarims. What about Thresh? Like, you also have Thresh in Shadow Isles too, so it's interesting though. I do like the change. So not sure. I really don't know about this. Obviously, people are going to experiment and try and make Kalista work, same way people have tried to do try to make Lux work. And people are having relatively decent success with Lux, so who knows? Maybe Kalista will see play, and maybe I'll be really annoyed by Kalista in a couple of weeks. Next up, though, we're still kind of on Kalista. Black Spear is now 3 mana instead of 2 mana. It's not much to talk about here. Feels kind of weird, in all honesty, because Black Spear is not like... It's not like a Glimpse. It's not in every single Shadow deck. It's very popular in Shadow decks, but it's not in every Shadow deck. But I can kind of see the reasoning. It's not that bad of a nerf. Like, sure, not being able to kill things for 2 mana is bad, but at least it can still be... You can still use only spell mana to do this, but it's going to make curving out harder for Shadow Isles mid-range decks, like Shadow Isle, Demacia, Rally decks. Let's see what Riot has to say here. This change is being made separately from Kalista's Shadow Isle, or from Kalista's. Shadow Isles as a region is too versatile with cheap spells at 1 to 2 mana, which allows Shadow Isles to get ahead and play from ahead too easily. That is very correct. I've done that myself a lot. We're breaking that power and efficiency up with changes to Black Spear and Mark of the Isles. We'll see that nerf in a couple of minutes. Where was I? Oh, yes. 2 cards that often use 1 or 2 spell mana to kill a 3 or 4 cost unit, and which also synergize well together for even more power. We hope these changes add more decision making and variety when it comes to which Shadow Isle spells to play. I'll be honest with you, I can't even think of that many other Shadow Isle spells that don't see play. Mostly because, like, Black Spear is just so good. 2 mana to deal 3 damage. Like, now it's, like, compare this and Get Excited. I honestly like think this is still fine and still playable as a 3 of because like sure it's hard to cast because something has to die, but things are going to be dying all the time in this card game, and like get excited is much easier to cast, but you also have to discard something. So it seems like they're going to keep like 3 damage at 3 mana for like some with a downside. I doubt we'll ever get a 2 mana deal 3 unless it's a huge downside in the future. Next up, what have we got? We got some like follower stuff now. Border Lookout, they were changing his name. He's now a Vanguard Lookout. Not much of a change here. He's just an elite now. 2 mana, 1/4 elite. I believe I talked about this guy in my Demacia card rating video and how he was bad. And if he was an elite, he'd actually be kind of okay. I don't think this pushes him into constructed playability, but this does make him a much, much nicer pick for Expedition because now he can be hit by random elite tag or elite buffs. The elite tag lets him just, I don't know, just like help other cards and other things that want to see elites being played. So like this card's not, it's not constructed playable, don't get me wrong, but it's better. Like 2 mana for 5 stats is fine. That's about what you expect from a 2-drop, I'd say, in this game at the moment. But the problem is his stats are very poorly uh distributed. And second off, he doesn't really do anything besides be an elite. Like you look at this guy and then you look at War Chefs. I'd rather play War Chefs if I'm in Demacia mid. Like, sure, War Chefs isn't an elite, but he's really strong. You go like turn 2 War Chefs, win the game. Turn 1 Challenger, turn 2 War Chefs, turn 3 other Challenger or something, win the game. Next up, we got the Mage Seeker. The Mage Seekers in general are getting reworked, it seems. Not even just buffed or nerfed, they're just getting reworked. They used to have, almost all of them, used to have the whole discard a spell to do something. They seem to have been changed, though. The Insider used to be a 1/4, now he's a 4/3. So just on his own, a 4 mana 4/3 is fine. It's not amazing, but it's okay. Like I'm not going to be that sad to play a 4 mana 4/3 in Expedition. I don't really want to play it for Constructed. But he also now says instead of the whole discard a spell to get power equal to cost, he now gets +2/+2 once you cast a 6-cost spell this game. The first thing that screams to me is like Lux decks, maybe? So let's see what they say. Mage Seekers are among some of the most interesting characters in Demacia that aren't soldiers. Keeping the all cards have a home principle in mind, we weren't satisfied with how the Mage Seekers ended up in beta, so we've reworked them as a group. Our goal was to make these cards more well-rounded in all forms of play, while providing Lux and other expensive spell archetypes more options in deck building. So this thing becomes a 4 mana 6/5 when you cast a 6-cost spell. There's a decent amount of 6-cost spells that are playable ever since Back-to-Back got quote-unquote nerfed and became a 6-cost spell instead of a 5-cost spell. That's fine. So, I don't think this card will be played. But I don't know, like 6/5 is really good. So maybe it's just I'm not really seeing a deck that wants this. Like, sure, Lux decks might play him because of the whole 6-cost stuff they've got going, but I don't really know. It's just like he doesn't really do anything. It's like 4 mana for a 6/5 good enough. Like a 4 mana 4/5 in the form of that Elnuk is not playable on his own. He's playable because of the Troop of Elnuks, but maybe this guy's good enough as a 6/5. Like he hits hard, he swings in hard, but Lux decks at the moment are more controlly with like Lux Karma. Who knows? We'll have to see. I do like this guy. I do think he might see some play in Constructed though. Expedition, he's going to be fine too. Next up, we got Mage Seeker Investigator. I'm a little worried about this change though. Used to be she pretty much played Purify when you summoned her if you would cast a spell. Now she says you get to create a detain once you cast a 6-cost spell this game. I think first off, this is going to make Purify stocks shoot up. Like a lot of people are going to play more Purifies now if there were people playing like Investigators instead of Purifies, which I honestly don't think there were that many people doing that in the first place because, you know, Investigator is not a fast spell compared to Purify, which is, I believe, a burst spell, not a fast spell, if I remember correctly. So is this thing gonna see play? Honestly, I think this sees more play than the other Mage Seeker, the Insider, because Detain is a good card. 3-mana 3/3 is not terrible, and Detain is a good card. And in a Lux Karma deck, it's not the worst. So yeah, maybe this will see play. Lux Karma decks usually have things like barriers and other such ways to protect their cards, so maybe this will see play as like a 1 or 2 of in the deck. The thing is, like, why not just play Detain itself if you really want this effect? It's like you're playing basically a vanilla 3/3, a blank, no text 3/3, and then hoping to cast a 6-cost spell later on, or vice versa. Maybe, though. I don't really see it. Next up, though, we got the Mage Seeker Persuader. 2-mana 3/2 now. He used to be a 6-mana 4/1. Huge change. He basically says he used to be he used to have challenger, discard card or spell really to get health equal to its cost. Now he gets +1/+1 in challenger once you cast a 6-cost spell in the game. So he becomes like a 2-mana 4/3 with challenger. If you do that, if you don't, then it's just a 2-mana 3/2 and that's it. A 2-mana 3/2 is not terrible. Like 3 power is really good. Like that is a good sweet spot to hit because it lets you block Fearsome. Like some cards I played just because they have 3 attacks so they can block Fearsome. It's like, all right, my opponent played Elise. I want to play like Chempunk Pickpocket or something. This card's not probably going to connect with my opponent and their Nexus, but it's a 3/2. It can block Elise. This is great. So this guy might actually see play in Demacia just because it can block Fearsomes. And he has like some potential in the late game. Like a 4/3 challenger, that's no joke. Like look at Elise leveled up. Like I think out of all these 3 Mage Seekers, the Mage Seeker Persuader is going to be the most likely to see play of all these 3 Mage Seekers that are getting changed, like the Insider, the Investigator, and the Persuader. I think it's like Persuader will probably is the most likely to see play, then Investigator, and then Insider at the very bottom. Next up, though, we got another nerf. We got Crowd Favorite. It's not a huge nerf in all honesty. It's like very minuscule. Used to be a 4-man 2/2. Now he's a 2/1. Not much of a change. Let's see what they have to say to this, though. Crowd Favorite has quietly been an overperformer for Noxus aggro decks. Overwhelm combined with large base stats, especially health, can be hard to interact with, and Crowd Favorite often matches the value of champions in specific aggro decks, reducing the big guy's health by 1 to allow some more counterplay when he's played on curve, while also leaving him as a powerful option for hyper unit aggro or swarm decks. I do think it's obviously a nerf. Like, there's no way to say there's any positive here, but I don't think this nerf is going to kill the card. Like, he's still going to come down. He's still going to be like, you'll play him on turn 4, and he's going to be like a 5/4 now or something. Like, your opponent goes like, turn 1, like, I'm just going to do a goldfish scenario here. Like, turn 1 is, I don't know, like House Pets or, I don't know, Rear Guard or something. Turn 2, Elise. Turn 3, like House Spider. That's 4 units, and then you drop this guy. Then he becomes like a 6/5. Let's say you don't drop a House Spider, you just drop 3 units. Then he becomes like a 1 drop, a 2 drop, and a 3 drop on turn 1, 2, and 3. He's still a 5/4. That's still really good. And then the Overwhelm, of course, still really good. Not really going to change play. He's still really strong. And Spider Aggro, Noxus Shadow Isle Spider Aggro, still going to be a good deck, even though they're also getting nerfed with Mark of the Isles. Next up, I honestly think this is a nerf. They're saying it's a buff, but I think it's a nerf. Iceborne Legacy is now a 5-mana spell, and it's a slow spell. Used to be a 3-mana burst spell that gave +1/+1. Now it's a 5-mana slow spell that gives +2/+2. Let's see their reasoning for this. It hasn't seen much play, with the payoff clearly not providing enough deck building inspiration, and we're hoping a doubled effect at a higher investment offers a more appealing prospect. I feel like it's a nerf because the whole like going from burst to slow is just so bad. Like, maybe if it was at least fast, so I could use it as a bad combat trick, I would like it more, but as it is at slow speed, I'm not seeing this thing being played and constructed at all. Iceborne Legacy wasn't really played and constructed at all. I've tried it before in a Heimerdinger deck where I played this with Heimerdinger out, made an elusive turret, used Iceborne Legacy to buff the elusive turret, so all the elusive turrets will be 4/2s and then eventually 5/3s if Heimerdinger leveled up. That deck wasn't good. You can't do that anymore. Well, you still can technically do it. It's just that Iceborne Legacy, first off, isn't a burst spell, and it's not going to make elusive turrets anymore. So yeah, I honestly do think this is a nerf, and this won't see play at all. This is like a 0 out of 5 if we go back to my 5-star rating system. Next up, though, we got Pack Mentality. It just now says give allies +2/+2 and overwhelm this round. Used to be give an ally and other allies of its group +3/+3 and overwhelm for the round. So it's just like, this just seems like a good finisher now for expeditions, like overwhelm or whatever the green card is in Magic. Pretty nice. The old version of Pack Mentality was both a tad confusing and generally ineffective. Our goal with this change is it to improve it as a finisher for go-wide tribal strategies, while also making it more of an option for non-tribal decks. Okay. I don't think it'll see play in Constructed, but it's better for Expedition now. Now I gotta kind of be scared of this card in Expedition. And before you say, what about, isn't For Demacia just better? Well, Overwhelm. The Overwhelm is why this thing compared to For Demacia is fine. Next up, we got Poro Snack. Not much to talk about this card. It's 3 mana. Was 4 mana. I mean, there's nothing really to talk about. What do they have to say about it? Poros is currently the worst performing Expedition archetype by a large margin, and we're hoping this change helps Expedition decks while also giving Poros a boost in Constructed. I don't think it will see a boost in Constructed play. Some people have tried out Poros. They're not good. I mean, the good news, I guess, is like you can now use Poro Snack with just spell mana, so that's nice. You can like use all your actual mana, dump a bunch of Poros on board, or, well, technically Poro Snack doesn't care if they're on board or not. But you can just dump this card out there when you have like 3 free mana, but you could do that before with 4 mana, so I don't know. I think the real issue with Poro decks are the Poros themselves kind of just suck, and sure, Poro Snack is supposed to alleviate that by giving them some extra stats, but most of the Poros need more than just stats to make them good, because most Poros aren't even worth the single card they are printed on. Like, I don't want to play 1 mana 1/1s that don't really do anything, like 1 mana 1/1 tough, 1 mana 1/1 fearsome. I don't want to play that. Anyway, though, next up, we got Troop of Elnuks. I like this change. I never liked playing Troop of Elnuks, even though I played it a bit, because it was kind of busted. Used to be, when you played him, you got to summon each Elnuk in the top 10 cards of the deck. Now, you play the Elnuk, and for the top 6 cards in the deck, summon each Elnuk. So it's basically the same thing. It's just only looking at the top 6 instead of the top 10. It also says shuffle the rest into your deck. Interesting. I believe, I'm not 100% sure on this, because I just heard this, like a friend of a friend of a friend kind of thing. But I think that Troop of Elnuks already shuffled the deck after it did the summon thing. Like, he would summon Elnuks out of the top 10, and then the deck would get shuffled. So, you wouldn't go like, okay, Troop of Elnuk, and you'd get screwed by the second troop not pulling anything because you just summoned all your Elnuks or something. Not 100% sure on that. Maybe it didn't shuffle before, but I'm pretty sure he did. What do they have to say about it? Well, we want some levels of randomness to create varied gameplay experience. We don't think RNG at troops' previous levels should be prevalent in the competitive metagame. I agree. A lot of people agreed on that, and we're kind of begging for this guy to get nerfed. What else? We considered a redesign that would be more deterministic, but we wanted to preserve troop as a linchpin in counterfeit copies decks. Well, thank you. I like playing those kind of decks in Expedition. So we've busted out the Hypergeometric Calculator and done some playtesting to find a better rate for the troop that allows more dedicated Elnuk decks to be powerful while reducing the effectiveness in decks just looking to splash the Elnuk package for value. That is how a lot of Freljord decks were kind of playing the guy. They were just like, all right, just do your regular Freljord shenanigans and throw in 3 troops and 3 pack Elnuks, and on turn 5, roll the Elnuks and hope and pray. And then it's like if you get like 2 other Elnuks, you probably won the game. Like you got a triple Elnuks and 2 4/5s, you're probably extremely ahead. Or you use it as a catch-up mechanic because you were just skipping like your first couple of turns, and you're like, all right, turn 1, pass, turn 2, pass, turn 3, something, turn 4, maybe Avalanche, turn 5, Troop of Elnuks, something like that. Next up, though, we got Navori Conspirator. He's now a 2/2. There's nothing much to talk about him. From a 3/2 to a 2/2, it's an elusive nerf. It's nice. He can't block Fearsome now. That's good. I feel like they used to, when they first made this guy, they probably thought to themselves that the whole having to recall an ally was a negative downside to this card, and they realized, like, wait a minute, that's not a downside. That's actually good with all the summon abilities we have. So let's make him more in line with like a 1-drop in terms of stats. Now, granted, there aren't really 1-drops with his stats that are elusive, but there are 1-mana 2/2s. So yeah, he's now just a 2-mana 2/2. Still very strong. Still going to be a key player in elusive decks because the whole like bounce to replay something, get more value is just so strong. But it's nice. It slows down elusive decks too, which is always nice in my opinion, because elusive decks to me always felt like they were a little too fast, too bursty. I don't know what the best way to say it. Let's see what they have to say though, real quick. Conspirator is an above-rate elusive unit while also offering a large amount of utility for bounce decks because it mainly sees play in heavy elusive decks. Reducing its power by 1 should make the overall elusive curve more reasonable. Thank you. Thank you very much. And Chumpwump's also getting nerfed. A little sad because I kind of like to bust out the Ezreal deck every now and again. He's now a 4-mana 4/3 instead of a 4/4. Chumpwump is a threat that's often played both for that sweet mushroom value and its surprisingly good stats, making it a bit too generically strong in all Piltover archetypes. One of P&Z's weaknesses is having mediocre unit stats, and value cards like Wump shouldn't be too effective in combat. I'll be honest with you, like, when I first saw this card, I was like, wow, this card's kind of good, even if you don't care about the mushroom clouds. It gives you discard stuff or get excited, and the mushrooms themselves, by even without having to discard them, they're not the worst. Maybe you'll get like 1 or 2 burn damage on the face with these guys. So it's a little annoying now. You can't block like certain fearsome units like, I don't know, Skitterer and other such things, but he's still fine. He dies to like get excited, another 3 damage sources and like Black Spear, but he's still fine. Like, this is gonna hurt, I think, Ezreal combo decks the most, because they kind of relied on Chumpwump tanking a lot of damage and blocking and just being a big butt to sit in front of everything and just sit there and slow their opponents down. Now he's going to be really easy to kill and just keep punching them, which is, I don't know, depending on who you ask, that's a good thing or a bad thing, because some people love the Ezreal combo deck. Some people hate the Ezreal combo deck. Next up, though, speaking about Ezreal, and to a greater extent Heimerdinger, in all honesty, Flash of Brilliance is getting changed. I don't want to say nerfed because it's not really a nerf or buff. It's a side grade, really. It used to be, it was a 3-mana, it's still like 3 mana, it's still a burst spell. It used to be just create a random spell in hand and refill your spell mana. Now it creates a random 6+ card spell, really. And of course, refill your spell mana. It's fine. Like, it's not a bad thing. Like, sure, in a Heimerdinger deck, you're still playing this as a 3-of, because you play like Heimerdinger, you play this, you get your elusive turret, you get your spell mana back, you might do like a Get Excited or a Beam or something afterwards, but you can't play like, you can't fish for like Health Potion or some random like cheap card. Now, this does help out Lux decks though, of course, I guess. Let's see what they have to say. I assume they're going to talk about Lux with this change. Flash of Brilliance. Great card. I love this card. A highly efficient card that can be a bit frustrating to play against in conjunction with Heimerdinger or Lux. Yeah, I guess so. Against Heimerdinger, it is kind of frustrating. Not so much Lux, especially when it RNGs into more cheap burst spells. Yes, that is very annoying. However, it's a satisfying core card for Heimerdinger and sometimes Lux, so we don't want to change it too much. Making the random spell cost 6+ will be more in line with the design intent of the card fitting into big spell decks from Piltover or Demacia. Cool. I'm still going to play this card because this card is still fine and it's still good for Heimerdinger decks. Next up, though, like there's not much to talk about it. Like, sure, Lux is gonna still play it. Maybe Heimerdinger will still play it, definitely. So yeah. Next up, we got Rummage. Used to be like to play it, discard 2, draw 2. Now play it, discard 2, draw 2. But if you have only one card, you can discard 1 to draw 1. It's a buff because it used to be you couldn't cast this card if you only had one other card. Like if you had like, I don't know, like let's say your hand was like Get Excited plus Rummage, you couldn't cast the Rummage. Now you can like cast Rummage, throw away the Get Excited, and draw the top card of the deck. Pretty nice. Also helps out Jinx, I guess. So, like, what do they say? Rummage couldn't be cast when you only had 2 cards in hand, which isn't a huge problem, except with the level 2 Jinx. Well, okay, there we go. It's a small change, but one that should make Rummage feel better overall. Yeah, it is. That is true. It's like small. It's probably not going to affect too much, but Jinx decks can now run Rummage, I guess. Like they already kind of did, but still. It's not, they won't have as many situations where they can't actually cast it. Next up, we got Unstable Voltician. When you summon, grant him +4 in quick attack if you've cast a 6-cost spell this game. Now just grant him, now he just gets +4/+0 in quick attack once you've cast a 6-cost spell this game. I don't know if he's constructed playable, like an 8/4. Maybe there's a deck out there that plays a bunch of the whole like cast 6-cost spell, do something like the Mage Seekers in this guy, and they just dump these cards and they cast like some 6-mana spell on curve, and they just win the game or get insanely far ahead in terms of tempo, like back to back, or I don't know, for Demacia or something like that. Because like this guy, a 5-mana 8/4 with quick attacks, that's a pain. So what do I have to say? We're lining up Voltician and works similarly to the new Mage Seekers. This change is all upside to a card that was severely underplayed. I honestly don't think I've ever seen this guy played and constructed. So hopefully the increased option of when to cast that 6+ spell will help Voltician see more play. Okay. Cool. Maybe, who knows? I don't know. Maybe there is like I said, maybe there is a deck out there that will want to do what I said, which like dump a bunch of creatures and play some 6-cost spell. Next up, we got Brood Awakening. Not much to talk about here. Used to be 6 mana, but now costs 5 mana. I always did think this card casts. Yeah, sorry, I can't talk. I always thought this card costed just 1 mana too much to actually be playable and constructed. I saw people play it in constructed, and I was like, why are you playing that card? That card costs 6 mana. Why not just play Hecarim instead? First off, they were playing Spider decks, of course, but even then, it's like, just play Hecarim. Or even something else, something more aggressive. Let's see what they have to say. This change is part of an overall shift of some strength in Shadow Isles from raw power to synergy. Okay, that is true. Shadow Isles always did feel like they had too much standalone power and not much synergy going on. Dedicated Spider decks normally skip out on playing this card in favor of the more fearsome builds. This adjustment should help make Brood a more viable option in constructed. Maybe we'll go back to Dawn Spiders with this being like the top end, even though Dawn Speakers himself was good. So who knows? I don't know. This card is still scary. Even just by itself on an empty board, it's still like 3 2/1s for 5 mana, which isn't terrible. And that's assuming an empty board. If you have even like just an Elise on the field, that's already scary. Next up, we got Mark of the Isles getting nerfed. Used to get +3/+3 in Ephemeral. Now it's only +2/+2. Not sure how much I like this. It's a nerf. Don't get me wrong. It is a nerf, and I didn't want to see this card get gutted, but I kind of wish it was nerfed a little bit more. Now, it's still playable and it's still good, but it's still a burst spell, so I don't know. I'm not sure. Like, it's still gonna be good, and I still think a 3 of in most Shadow Isle decks. Maybe a 2 of for the more mid-rangey, control-y kind of Shadow Isles, but aggro decks, I think, still will run this as a 3 of. It's just good reach. Let's see what they have to say. To add to what we said for Black Spear, Mark was pulling too much weight for a 1-cost card. It was an awesome burst protection spell that also served as super effective removal when combined with a small unit, all on top of its capabilities as a lethal finisher, especially in multiples. Very true. Players will have access to a 1-cost spell almost all games, so they shouldn't have the levels of outright versatility that Mark offered. All right, that is true. I still think it's like, I guess the one good thing is like now if you have like a 1/1, like a spider from Elise or something, you can't just play like Mark on the spider and use it to block. No, it can still block a fearsome. What am I thinking? 3/3. Never mind. I don't know. Like I had a few thoughts like about people have asked me like what do I think about Mark of the Isles and how would I nerf it? I never could give a single answer because it's kind of a hard card to nerf because it's one man. You don't want to just completely kill it. I was like, maybe make it a or a fast speed spell instead of burst, so you have a reaction window to do something. Maybe give it +3/+0, or maybe give it like I think I even said +2/+2 or something. So I don't know. They went seems like they went for the probably least damaging way to nerf this guy or this card. So yeah, still gonna be played as a 3 of in a lot of Shadow Isle decks. Next up though, we got my poor friend, the Rekindler. I like this card, but I kind of saw this guy getting nerfed. We had a lot of decks that were just playing like Rekindler and that's it as a Shadow Isle card or something else, and they were like kind of just all around the Rekindler. I'm sad because I like to play a Nivea Rekindler, but that card is a heckin' meme first off in the first place. This is the second time he's been nerfed too. He used to be a 6-mana 5/5, if I remember correctly. Became a 6-mana 4/4. Now he's a 7-mana 4/4. Very sad. I think he might see play as a 1 of or a 2 of now, but definitely not a 3 of in most decks that he's already seen 3 of play, like especially like some like Demacia mid decks that play Rekindler and Garen. And going up to 6 or going up to 7 from 6 does kind of mess up the curve. Now you can't go like Garen Rekindler. I guess you can still go like Hecarim Rekindler though, but it's a little clunkier, of course. So let's see what they have to say. Legends of Runeterra is designed to allow champions in play for multiple turns. So it's an important and satisfying reprieve to get rid of a champion that is about to level up. And Rekindler, at its current rate, too strongly breaks the healthy play pattern of removing champs, so we're upping its cost. Yeah, I agree. Too many times I've been on the receiving end, and I've done it myself, where my opponent would be like, all right, Hecarim. And I'm like, okay, I don't know, like beam, kill Hecarim. And they're like, oh, okay, that sucked. I'm going to play Rekindler, bring back Hecarim, and now I'm going to attack in with Hecarim and Rekindler. And I'm like, well, darn. That's a lot of damage. So you can still do that. It's just going to be more expensive. And Hecarim himself got nerfed. So that's a lot of Shadow Isle nerfs. Off the top of my head, Rekindler, Black Spear, Mark of the Isles, and Hecarim. There's probably more. There might be one card I'm missing, but those are the 4 that I can think of that are the biggest nerfs that I care about, in all honesty. And they got the watch list down here. They're keeping an eye on Elise and Frenzied Skitterer. Let's see. They're talking about, like, it mentioned keeping an eye on Fearsome, but they're also keeping an eye on Elise and Frenzied Skitterer, it seems, in addition to that. Both durable, versatile, and evasive threats we've seen used in a larger number of decks than we think is healthy. We want to take it slow and powering down regions and avoid over nerfing cards. So we're hoping the changes to other Shadow Isle tools reduce the effectiveness of these spiders for now. We'll continue to monitor the strength of these 2 and make additional changes in the future if needed. I think the Shadow Isle nerfs, in all honesty, will lower the power level of Shadow Isles where it won't feel that bad when your opponent goes Elise into Skitterer and stuff. I mean, the combo of like fearsome stuff plus Skitterer lowering the power of your units so they can't block is annoying, but who knows? We'll see. Next up, we got Glimpse Beyond. It's an efficient card advantage tool that doubles as a synergy play in many Shadow Isle decks. They've decided to watch list it, as the card advantage combined with the ability to soften ice strikes or certain spells can be frustrating to play against. Yes, it is. It's very annoying when you try to use a removal spell and they're like, oh, I'll just glimpse my unit instead and draw 2 cards. That said, we're hoping it can stay at its current cost, as Glimpse Beyond is a pivotal core card for Shadow Isles and its synergies. Similar to Elise, our tuning options here are constrained given Glimpse's low mana cost design, and any change it at all may end up severely nerfing it. If we see indications that Glimpse is overly problematic even after the Shadow Isle changes settle, we'll reconsider. I honestly can't think of a way to nerf Glimpse without completely killing it. Like 2 mana, draw only 1 card is bad, because you have to kill something. Putting it to 3 mana is the only thing I can think of. And even then, I really want to pay 3 mana to draw a card and I had to sacrifice a unit? I don't know. Next up, we got Shadow Assassin, the most played card in Legends of Runeterra. I did not know that, in all honesty. But you know what? It kind of makes sense. That card is just so good. Like, I was like, non-elusive decks play it because, you know, a 3 mana 2/2 that draws a card is good. And even if you're not elusives, having the option to be able to block elusives using it is good. Let's see what they say. For good reason, it's the most played card. Yes, reasonable elusive stats plus free card advantage make this card a near auto include for Ionia and a frequently splash card for other regions. I'll be honest with you, I've done that myself. I've definitely splashed Ionia just for like Shadow Assassin and Deny. We've discussed and tested out number-based changes such as 1/2, 2/1, or 4 mana 2/2, but none of them left the assassin in a spot that felt right. For now, we decided to watch list her and continue to monitor her for potential changes. I would say I would like to see her as a 2/1 if they did have to nerf her, because then she could be hit by like Vile Feast and Withering Wail and other just pings in general. And since she's like replacing herself by drawing a card, it's not that much of a feel bad, I guess. Next up, we got like, let's see, just some like talk about how they're speeding up some animations and just some like stuff. They're also changing out the turn timers though. Casting a burst spell now puts some time back on your timer, and you'll now get some extra time on your turn after your opponent casts spells on theirs to guard against a bunch of your opponent's end of turn burst spells eating away your turn. That's kind of nice. Not really going to affect the game too much, but it's nice that they're doing this, like making certain animations that took a long time take less time, like Draven spinning axes or level 2 Hecarim buff visual. Those things took forever if you ever saw them or played them. Next up, we got a lot of expedition changes here. I'm not a big expedition player, so I can't really comment too much on these. I play a little bit of it. But yeah, so like Demacia Steel, it's getting mobilized, removing back to back. Noxian Mike gets Guile, removes Elixir of Wrath. Shroom and Boom gets Scrap Dash Assembly, removing Aeronaut. I like Amateur Aeronaut though. Oh well. Spellbound is removing Detain and getting back to back. And then language support and bug fixes. Oh, that's nice. Bug fixes. So yeah. Then some more stuff with the expedition. So that's it for the patch. Lots of changes. Poor Shadow Isle is getting hit hard. I think it'll still be around. Like ephemeral decks like Shark Chariot, I think will start to rise in popularity now for people who especially like Shadow Isles. I've always been more of a Shadow Isle control player when I play Shadow Isles, with things like Rasa and Ladros, who have also been completely nerfed and destroyed. I've been playing some Harrowing myself. So who knows? Decks I think that will still see play and probably even get more popular. I think Noxus Spider Aggro will still be tier 1. It's getting 2 cards nerfed in the form of Crowd Favorite and Mark, but they're not big nerfs. And the rest of the deck is still insanely strong. Like, sure, it's a little bit slower, but it still should be probably the best aggro deck. One of my favorite decks didn't get touched in the form of Ash Control with Noxus Freljord. She didn't get nerfed. None of those cards got nerfed, so maybe we'll see a rise in that. Heimerdinger and Karma decks, they didn't really get nerfed too much. Like, sure, Flash of Brilliance got nerfed. Well, I don't even want to say, I keep saying nerf when it's really technically a side grade, so it only gives you 6+ cards now. So who knows? This is a very nice patch. Nothing feels too bad, like, wow, they really have it out for this one region. Like, sure, most of the nerfs that probably matter are against Shadow Wilds, but I think most people would have told you, like, non-biased, unless you're biased, most people would have been like, yeah, Shadow Wilds feels really good. Rekindler feels really strong. I've been playing Rekindler with everything, etc., etc. Hecarim's really busted. So I think, like, overall, I've seen from the rumblings of the community, most people seem to like the patch. I also like the patch. Off the top of my head, there's nothing I can really think of that I would like to see nerfed. Maybe a couple elusive things, but I'm a little biased. I don't like elusive because I'm a control boy and I hate playing against elusives because they just punch me in the face and make me cry. I do think elusives will still be playable. Like, they didn't really get too many nerfs, and the very aggressive Kinku elusives that play the 4-mana guy that brings out some 1-drops with Zed in it, it didn't really get a nerf. I think maybe I can't think of it. Like, none of these things seem to have nerfed it. Like, Conspirator got nerfed. I think that's the only nerf to elusive decks, in all honesty. So who knows? Maybe we'll see a rise of elusives. What am I saying? See a rise? They're already kind of tier 1 right now. Maybe they'll probably still stay at tier 1 is what I'm trying to say. It's like, I think elusives and Spider Aggro will be like duking it over like the best aggro deck, and those two will still stay tier 1. As for the other things in tier 1, I honestly can't think. Maybe like Demacia mid. Like, I know a lot of people have been experimenting with some Demacia mid, trying out Garen and stuff, but though a lot of those decks were kind of using Rekindler. I don't know if they still want Rekindler after the nerf. Who knows? We'll see. In fact, we should be seeing. By the time this video goes up, the patch should be out. So who knows? We'll see. And that's gonna be it. I hope you all enjoyed listening to me ramble about these patch notes. This is a long video, by the way. I really did ramble on. So yeah. Like I said, hope you all enjoyed the video. You know, if you guys enjoyed it, please be sure to like, fave, subscribe, all that. If you guys enjoy the video as well, please be sure to leave a comment down below. If you want to catch more of me, I always stream some Runeterra on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Zenaton, and I hope to see you there one day. So, thank you all for watching once again. With that all said and done, have some fun playing some Runeterra. Stay safe out there, and I hope to see you all in a future video. So until then, thank you all again once more, and bye!